Good evening, everybody. So, tonight is going to be a fun little conversation. It's not going to be too long. I would say maybe about 10 minutes here. But what we are talking about is getting the short end of the stick. This has been such a huge theme within my clients, and it's also something that I've experienced myself because guess what? We're not perfect, guys. We're usually on both ends of any spectrum throughout our life at some given point. So when it comes to getting the short end of the stick, if you're really saying things to yourself like, things never work out for me, people always betray me, people always do the wrong thing or hurt me, or I always get screwed or effed by people, or women breadcrumb me, or men breadcrumb me. These are all very, very common things to say when you think that you're always getting the short end of the stick. And really, what's at the base of this is blame. So, where we are blaming outside circumstances. And of course, there are awful people out there, okay? We live on a planet where there's a lot of unconscious people still. And that's okay because, again, that's everyone's personal journey. But when we come down to blame, then it comes down to you making your feelings someone else's responsibility. And yes, I know people do hurt you. People do bad things all the time. But when it comes to getting shortchanged, and this is a pattern that's continuously happening in your life, this is where you really have to start going within and looking within. So when you consider someone giving you the short end of the stick or using you in some capacity, then you really have to start thinking about what that means to you. Is it them being out of integrity? Is it them lying to you? Or is it them stringing you along? And in these scenarios, in these cases, depending on if you're more internal or external, so introverted, extroverted, but you really have to start looking at these patterns and saying, where am I out of integrity with myself? Where am I not standing up for my values? Because when these things happened to me in the past, what I would do is run. I wouldn't face it. I would avoid conflict at all costs. Okay. So I would just not deal with it until it got to the point where I would literally just explode on the person. And I even did this recently, actually, too. But this time it wasn't really an explosion. It's I waited until things got to be so bad that I finally said something instead of saying something the moment I felt the nudging, the moment I knew things were starting to come out of alignment for me. And we often do this. So before someone has literally shortchanged you or, screwed with you in some way, really ask yourself, where did I not stand up for myself? Where did I let things go? Where were things not in my value system that I ignored because I gave them the benefit of the doubt? And often when this happens, many of you are just really, really good people, and it just seems like bad luck follows you around. And you might have your conscious mind open to believing the best in people, but in your subconscious, there's going to be a memory somewhere where you were really hurt in the past, where someone really did you wrong. And you might have suppressed those feelings. You might have cut all ties with that person. You might not have said exactly how you felt. You might have been really young, even. You might not even realize that's what was happening at the time. You might have been a child, right? So when this happens, go back to that first memory. Allow the memory to come up if you can do this. If not, you can just go into those feelings and those emotions where you might have felt out of integrity with yourself. Because these patterns are usually showing us anywhere that we're staying silent or obedient or where we're just ignoring things out of our value system, right? So, this is really an opportunity for you to start expressing yourself before it gets to the point where you freak out and where things have piled on so much to the point where you're just like, enough is enough. And then you go into fight mode, or you cut them off completely and cut all ties instead of having conversations. So before that, if you've had these conversations with these people and they're not respecting boundaries, things are not changing despite the many conversations you have, then you understand where this person is and you have the choice and the power to walk away. Often, when we believe that people are constantly sticking it to us, we feel as if we are powerless, like we have no movement, no say. But the thing is, we're not trying to control anyone else. You are trying to protect your mental peace and physical safety. So remember that with boundaries. When these things come up, don't take it as a failure that, oh, I trusted the wrong person or I am so terrible. Look at it as this is out of my value system. Here's some things that I might have done differently. I might have stood up for myself a little bit more, been more assertive. But if you have been assertive, then you can make that conscious choice to actually walk away, especially if you've had many of those conversations saying, hey, if this continues, I'm going to have to start taking a step back from our relationship, friendship, whatever the case may be. And you're still empowered at this state. You're not taking what this person is doing personally, even though I know it looks and feels very personal. I understand. I have been there many times of where I've done this to people and I've had it done to me. So I get it and I understand. However, it's really about taking your own sense of power in the situation and not seeing it through the lens of blame and just looking at, okay, where can I be more assertive? Where can I be more integral with my word and actually doing the thing that you say you're going to do? If you really value someone who's integral and on time and keeps their word, are you also the person that does those things? Another way to look at it as, am I treating anyone else this way? If you're internal, how are you doing it to yourself? If you're external, sorry, where are you doing this to other people, right? And really get curious and open-minded and then start ending those agreements. So if you're not being integral with yourself and your word, start taking those steps to do that. Say and do what you're going to say and do. Have your actions match your words. That is integrity. When you follow through on your values and when you follow through on what you know is right for you and what you know your limits to be. If you're doing it to other people, obviously start respecting them more, right? Show up for them, and also communicate. If things need to change, then you need to communicate, right? But if you've made a commitment, made a word to somebody else, you need to honor it. But if you can't in that moment in time, then you need to be very upfront and direct and not just brush things under the rug, right? I see so many women and men, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. I see so many men and women doing this, especially with many men and their friends. It's life. Things come up. It's okay. And they just keep sweeping things along instead of honoring their word. Especially as a man, your word and your leadership means so much to everyone around you. So I really want you to know, and I'm sure you already know this because, you don't need me to tell you this, but your power is deeply rooted in that sense of leadership, and it creates a huge impact around you, and that impact is so important. So really follow these steps and just tune into yourself. Be self-aware. And if you haven't had practices with doing this, you can go to my podcast, my YouTube channel, and just start doing some of those exercises that I have, or you can do my free Divine Heart meditation, but start looking at it from that perspective. Start to get more curious and open-minded and start to really just let go of the blame of who's right, who's wrong, and really get curious to the root of what this is. What is this wound that is here? What is it representing? And what can I do to really start working through this on my end? Do I need to make some changes for myself? And is that internal? Is it the way I'm treating myself, or is it how I'm treating other people, right? This is something that is really, really important. And it's really taking a lot of self-awareness and courage. So if you do go through this and you figure out what's going on, but if you do need some support, just drop it in the comments. But let me know, like, if this was valuable for you and what you took away from this, and if there's anything that I can clarify a little bit further. But I'd love to see how that goes for you. Thank you so much for watching.